Alright, what's up, y'all? This is good. Wind noise, if and where. I'll address it before the video even starts in case, okay? Yeah. Let's get into this, okay? This is In The Image Clothing Company's main side. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and all four sides, I'll talk about each of them. But first, I'll tell you what this video is going to be about so I don't leave you in wait before I do our intros that are pretty packed full, where I also talk about where clothing sits. Okay? Working out doesn't help your jaw, and we'll get into it. I'll talk about it in pretty good depth here because, as I say, okay, today's the 19th of May, 2025, and since the founding of In The Image Clothing Company, I've understood, and that's why I founded In The Image Clothing Company, that clothing is actually the only fix to human beings' physical problems. It's the only thing placed onto us, and I'll get into it. But yeah, we don't need to work out to help our bodies. The human body's designed to work. Okay, but we'll get into it. Why the jaw is such a big thing. The jaw is something I've talked about since the founding of In The Image Clothing Company. And within our intros, where I'll say in a minute here, I really discuss the importance of the jaw and what it does, okay? So we'll get in depth with this. I'm gonna just not worry about the wind noise. On my end, I get a little bit like, man, you know, there's noise in the microphone. I don't use professional microphones for these videos up until today's date, at least. And so I gotta get over it. The point is, if the information's in the videos, the information's in the videos, okay? If you can hear it, that's the point of saying it at all, okay? So our main site here, we are a clothing company, but really we address how to keyword allow the human body to work. As I say, we're just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. The human being on Earth, it's just what it is. It just has the operations that it has. It could never do anything else. And we're on Earth's gravity. So there's a center line to us. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and then here we go, okay? The jaw, which naturally stabilizes the entire body. That's how I word it when I say it, and that's what it does for context of this video. We'll get into it. So when we place clothing onto our bodies, it has to stay centered because the body has to, and anything placed onto us will cause our bodies to do what that is doing as far as the imbalances. And there's a lot of imbalances in clothing in modern day. I made a video on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here titled The Right-Handed World, and we live in one. Clothing gets shipped across the whole earth nowadays in ways that it never could have in the past, and it's right-handed. The patternings in clothing, our world is geared toward right-handedness because give or take 85% of the population is in modern day. Products that get made are right-handed. So a lot of our videos, when I address the anatomy of the human body under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, are just about things of the right side only. The right elbow, these are video titles under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The right collarbone, the right hand. Actually, I think the video that I'm thinking of is just titled Keeping Hands the Same Size, okay? But the right pelvis crest. We talk about things on the right side of the body because the right side of the body is so much more externally rotated, farther away from its own center line, meaning our body's center line, and dropped. This is just the position we get into as we use things that are farther away from the center of our bodies, okay? So, and being right-handed, that's just what you're going to be doing, okay? But our jaw stabilizes the entire body from the center of our body. Okay, see that visual? As my right hand comes farther away from my center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and the jaw, the center of gravity moves, and so my jaw does as well to stabilize. Okay, there's your little intro for what the discussion will be. Really, that's a lot of what the discussion is. But yeah, eating, standing, sleeping, walking, sitting, hydration, all the things we do physically as a human being, we address them and how to just do them naturally, because there's only one way the human body could ever work, truly, okay? So there's another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company music, and I show how to size and set up guitars to not alter the body, and then we can just play, okay? Our hands are essentially our shoulders, as our feet are essentially our hips. The body only works activated as a whole because it's all one, so anywhere any of it goes, the rest comes, okay? Now, we have cool music made by me on In The Image Clothing Company music as well, okay? Another fourth of us is In The Image Clothing Company podcast. I get into deep, blunt, bold, raw, real, authentic, offensive discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're just human beings placed onto the same earth that I'm trying to find a flat place to stand on in this baseball field as these ravens are making sound. But we just discuss things as they are. We're on episode 121 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date. It's awesome. Okay, check it out. Now, here's the thing. Okay, the jaw stabilizes the body, and I'm on an imbalanced grade, no joke. So my body's a little bit out of balance, but I like this location for filming the videos. So, yeah. All right, the last fourth that I haven't mentioned here is In The Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We have to come, as of today's date, our purebred standard poodle puppy registered through AKC breeding program under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. That's a mouthful, but I say it how I do because it's important to say it that way. But letting dogs stay natural is what we do. Unnatural flooring on the interior of buildings where dogs are isn't natural for the dog's feet. And so we address this, okay? Dehydrated kibble. The dude's just doing his job. Water's been extracted from kibble in those cases, and that's unnatural, okay? Toys and accessories for dogs are often made out of unnatural materials, and bro, it's funny. It's funny how I do these videos. But yeah, ideally we keep the dogs natural because they always would be unless human beings got involved. So collars, leashes, harnesses placed onto dogs can be imbalanced size-wise, fit-wise, weight-wise, and then our dogs can't be the only thing that they are, okay? There's a center line to dogs as well, because there's a center line to anything on Earth's gravity, meaning a place where it's going to pull it down from the center of it, okay? So, yeah, golly, it's funny. In The Image Clothing Company clothing and In The Image Clothing Company dog products will always be on InTheImageClothingCompany.com, okay? Staying centered, fitting correct, made from 100% natural materials is how In The Image Clothing Company clothing will always be, and same intent with the dog products, okay? Centered around them, natural materials, as natural as we can get with having things be what they are, okay? Yeah, right? Just don't hold us to a higher standard than we could be, as I say, because we're not perfect. No one is, except for Jesus Christ. Seriously, that's why we have the podcast and talk about the truth of all things. So, there you go, okay? Clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location because the body only could ever do what it does. And one thing I haven't mentioned in here is the body's about its skeletal system. It's not about the fat content that changes, and it's not about the muscle mass that changes. The human body's about a neutral in every joint, okay? And then from there, it just works, and it has to reside within that, all right? And to do that, pants have to be entirely above our hips, all the way off the hips, so there's no restriction to the functionality of the pelvis. Slightly higher in the front than the rear for the waistband angle to keep the core muscles, hold on, dude, activated, okay? Because the body would always just work activated. There's no way it couldn't because it's all there. And there's only one position that the body can activate certain muscles, meaning any muscle within, okay? My pants weren't all the way up above my hips, and that was one reason why I was choking up, no joke. And shoot, such a big thing. It's just so crazy, man. I mean, it's funny because you can potentially see me struggle through things when filming these videos because of the things that I talk about within these videos. No joke. I mean, it's really cool, actually, because I'm just practicing what I preach. Really, I'm preaching what I have practiced, and that's how I know how to. Okay, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Preaching What I Practice. Something like that with the wording. But the tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders because our shoulders only ever work behind our head. Okay, button-ups naturally sit behind the shoulders with a band of material, which is great. I love them. In the Image Clothing Company clothing, our button-ups will always stay centered, as you see mine do, okay, because there's a center line to the human being. And the edge seams of our tops just need to be right at the very edges. Okay, that's just where the functionality of the shoulder joint is. And there you go, okay? So, two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company, just to not alter the body, but they're conditional, because there's not always ropes in our shoes. We call them shoelaces, but it's just a rope. And there's only one way the foot is going to work and operate mechanically, okay? And so how we weave ropes across that without altering it is what we title In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, found wherever you find us, okay? Our 5-word name as a whole, In the Image Clothing Company. Now, secondly, we remove all tags from clothing because anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's either just causing a physical gap, just changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. And then you've got the body trying to compensate, but it can't because it's all just what it is and it has to work all together. So there you go. We tie our shoes evenly over toward the inside with our shoelace technique, right? Just, I mean, 2 ropes, one on each foot, opposing the center line of the human being, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. They have to be tied evenly, and there you go. I was 24 years old before I started doing that, by the way, so that's where a lot of the deeply ingrained scar tissue and patterning comes from in people's bodies, is shoe tying. Drawstrings as well. The slipped lap knot is what we show to use. Look up how drawstrings affect body mechanics under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. There's a video where I showed it, but that's what I'm using here is the slipped lap knot, okay? It just keeps the waist entirely horizontal. So let's talk about the jaw and why this video is titled Workouts Don't Help Your Jaw. Workouts don't help the jaw, okay? They just don't, because this is the thing. If we think about the musculature of the human being that people try to quote unquote train, which there's no way to train a machine that only has neutrals and operations, it's just going to do what it's going to do and that's it. That's why you get sore when you work out. Your body shouldn't get sore if it's just able to work in its only working position. It's designed to work. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled that, okay? We didn't design it, we can't decide it. There's another episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled that. And I talk about how running's damaging to the body, okay? It just is. I talk about how workouts aren't necessary. I talk about how stretching can't help you because there's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled Muscles Only Contract. And that's the case, okay? So we don't need to be working out is the point, but people do it, and okay, your body goes back to its only normal afterward, okay? Once your muscle stops being worked and strained to excessively grow, it just goes back to the human body's only normal, which is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here, okay? Truth, we just discuss things as they are. Yes, but people do work out, and the whole thing is, when we think about the part of the body that gets worked, it's from the base of the skull here at these upper trapezius muscles, okay, that raise and lower the shoulders, and then down, okay? People train their pectoral muscles, they train their abdominal muscles, they train their back and all the muscles back there doing whatever they're doing, and in whatever case they're doing anything they're doing, okay? And it's silly when we look at the body as it is, but you can't be expected to know. I didn't know until I started to learn what I did to found In The Image Clothing Company. But yeah, you can never train the body. It's just the truth, truly. If that's redundant, okay, it's the case, all right? Don't believe us, as I say, but we discuss things so thorough, there's no dispute. You just have to see it as it is. But yeah, when you're trying to, you can't, but your body, you'll focus on all the musculature that's below your jaw, okay? And our jaw naturally stabilizes our entire body. Look at this. If I'm doing some heavy lift, okay, I'm sitting there on a bench press bench and I'm pushing like this, watch my face, right? And you might be making a sound like this. Focus on what my jaw does. Right? Your jaw is stabilizing your entire body through that bench press. But here's the whole thing is workouts don't help your jaw. Because really where your jaw is going to sit isn't only determined by where your teeth mesh, but it is, okay? But it's determined by things down at your foot. If your feet are tied in shoes with ropes unevenly, your center of gravity is shifted out of its only actual center of the body, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, that can then stabilize in the center of us on Earth's gravity. We speak truth, okay? I know that I say things that don't sound like they make sense, because, you know, you've heard what you've heard and you've been working out for however long you have, but you can never actually work out your body. You cannot. No. Take that with a grain of salt, right? But you really can't. You can't train it to do anything different than just what it would naturally and only always do. Oh, it's just what it is, okay? So, yeah, I mean, it's just levers, hinges, operation, and rotations. It's pivoting, and I say it like this sometimes. It's, well, what I just said, but I'll say it like all in one. It's levers, hinges, rotations, operations, center line, Earth's gravity, right? I mean, it's a body of flesh and bone. It's something that can just move across the Earth. And it only has one way it could ever do anything. Even the internal functions of the body, because we do talk about hydration, eating, right, as I say, breathing, right? There's only one location your body can even breathe in, because your shoulders only have one neutral position they'll sit in, and then you can just breathe. And you just can never train the body. It's impossible out of a human being's doings, right? There's nothing impossible with our God, but He's the one who designed our bodies the only way they could ever work, which is just how they're going to, if we don't try to make them do anything different than they ever could. You see what I mean? So it's just the truth. I mean, that's how it is, okay? So, but here's the thing. When you're doing some heavy lift, your jaw clenches and tenses up, and all the musculature in your neck that goes up into your jaw kind of pops out the side of your neck like this, and your head is like maybe shaking, and you know, everything's so stiff because your jaw is stabilizing. But here's the thing about your jaw is if you're in an imbalance in your body already, and then now you're doing a lift like this, my body's imbalanced to the right, from my right shoe tied incorrect, from an oversized shirt pulling my shoulders to the right, from a drawstring tied in a right-handed knot that'll just twist your pelvis in the same position, okay, from things on your sleeves here touching your hands that are not allowing your hands to work, okay, short sleeves that are on your forearms here and not allowing your shoulder to work, okay, all the things we talk about. And I'll reference a lot of videos that we have toward the end here that relate to all this, but it's just the truth. Yikes, it's crazy. I feel like a giddy little kid when I say that, because like, I'm just a kid. We're all just children. Our bodies only do what they do, and we have to look to God to know how that is. Otherwise, damage and pain. Period and done. Period and done, okay? But here's the thing. All of those things stemming clear down to the foot, the farthest thing from the jaw, my hand will rotate as my foot is moving, so you can see like what my foot's doing. Okay? My jaw will move to where my foot goes, because the foot is essentially the hip. So your foot rotates outward, your hip goes external on that side, and there you go, okay? Yeah. Then your jaw stabilizes over a center of gravity that's imbalanced. So now when you're working out, this is why I say workouts actually further ingrain patternings that are incorrect in people's bodies. It's actually more damaging to your body to work out than it is to not. We just need to know how our bodies work and just let them do it. For every human across the earth, for literally ever, there's only one way the human body could ever work. So, one big thing is eating. And there's a video on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here titled that's not what it's titled. It's titled Eating with the Left Hand. And I went over how we need to keep our jaw centered, and I've talked about eating where I have. One of the teen number of episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast is titled Eating Truths. And I went over how eating can ingrain patterning into our bodies because of the positions we're in while we eat for the sake of our teeth meshing, but also because of the positions the clothing puts us into and then eating within those positions, okay? So, yeah. The teeth naturally will wear down. They just will. You're taking just two things like this, a top tooth and a bottom tooth, and between it is food, and you're just grinding the food down over years and years. Your teeth will just wear down, and that's normal. That's just going to happen, okay? Friction. You're just going to wear your teeth out over time. But what happens is, if your body's already in an imbalance, and your jaw is stabilizing out of an imbalance, out of the human body's only center line, but in a center of gravity that's just where your body's imbalanced to, then your teeth will wear by chewing and eating food, because we all have to eat to live, okay? Some people don't have teeth at all, I guess, but right? Then the teeth will be meshing in a position that's not centered. And our teeth are our jaw, right? I mean, the lower teeth, they're just in the bone of the lower jaw. And it's the lower jaw that moves. The upper part of our teeth is just the head. And it's just connected to the spine at the base of the rear of our skull. And it just needs to stay in the center as well. Okay. Keeping collar centered is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. The dreaded collar seam under In The Image Clothing Company. Look up In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, okay? Yeah, to keep our shoulders centered. Then traveling down to the tips of our toes and the tips of our fingers. But when we have our teeth not able to mesh centered, then when we are stabilizing our body with our jaw, it'll just do it. It's not like we consciously try to by any means. The body just does what it does, okay? God designed it. It'll just do its thing. It heals itself, it breathes for you, it blinks for you, it digests for you, it balances once you learn how to stand and walk without you thinking about it. The body's its own thing. It's our vessel that we've been given by God to go through this earth with it, okay? There really is only one way that it could ever work. And so the big thing is keeping our teeth bed actually meshing, right? The lower teeth and then the upper teeth meshing straight over our sternum, spine, trachea, and then straight under our nose, right? Right in the center of our body is where our jaw needs to be able to go vertically up and down evenly, okay? The lower jaw is from here, right right at the top of the ears, down like this, okay? Well, where my beard is, that's amazing for the visual. Yeah, where my beard is my lower jaw. Even down here, I cut it, my beard, so that my jaw can have its motion still and not have my neck be affected and my head's motion and my jaw itself from excess facial hair grown in only a certain location. This is right. That's so cool for the visual. Is yeah, I stopped shaving my beard right at the top of my lower jaw. That's how I know where to start my beard and cut my hair up from there. Okay. Oh goodness, I just didn't really plan on talking about being able to see the lower jaw with my beard. That's really good for being able to see where it is. So yeah, when we eat, we need our teeth to just be able to mesh evenly. Otherwise, you'll be doing this bench press, but your jaw will be like this. Probably not quite this excessive to the right, but right? And then as you're stabilizing, you're contracting more muscles on the right side than the left. And it's just dropping and rotating external because muscles are just shorter over there because the jaw is literally just over there. I mean, it's that real, right? When I talk about how simple the human body really is, right? I show like the hand is the foot, the wrist is the ankle, the elbow is the knee, and the shoulder is the hip. There's your body. The spine just connects the hips and the shoulders. Your jaw stabilizes your head on top, and you're done. I mean, really, like that's how the body works. That's why I say it how I do, right? Hinges, levers, rotations, operations, center line, Earth's gravity. Like, there's the body, and it'll work because God designed it to. Everybody's got a unique situation if they do. Deformities, amputations, okay? But there you go. So the point is, not only workouts don't help the jaw, but you're working out your muscles into an imbalance, and then now you'll go to eat, well, with your right hand because you'll be here, okay? And shoot, man. Then you'll wear your teeth into a deeper ingrained imbalance that will then go to the rest of your body still, right? It's kind of like this cycle. Your body's imbalanced, so your teeth wear imbalanced. And then as your teeth are imbalanced, now you'll eat that way and reinforce that travels reinforcing to your body. I mean, that's just how it is, okay? So, yeah. There you go. Okay, I'll reference some videos. I'll see if this guy gets a little bit farther away from the mic first. If he was coming in here, that would be silly. I don't know. Quite ironic, really. Okay, so yeah. Anything that's going to cause the jaw to be imbalanced, right? Holy cow. I referenced some videos already, but shoulders are like, oh, this video is crazy. This video is nuts, because I could talk about this for a long time, actually. Just the jaw itself, and we have so many videos about it. I don't stand like this, dude. This humbles me so much, because, yeah, that's why people are working out, is because their body's imbalanced, and so they want to get it to work, but it's never going to work here. You have to get it balanced. You don't have to work it out. You have to just get it back to its only center line, because Earth still has gravity. Okay? And same with why people stretch. I say there's no way you can ever stretch the body. It's given ranges of motion. It would just have them unless it was otherwise restricted or taken away. You can't stretch into something that's just there. It's either there or there's a reason that it isn't, right? And so that's just as simple as it gets for literally everybody, truly. Yeah. My body's been entirely transformed since founding In The Image Clothing Company and it's through clothing. Truly, actually, right? So yeah, keeping short sleeves short, okay? A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. And I'll just say the titles and quite a few of them. Tops are like a cage for the shoulders. Tops should be waisted. How pant cuffs affect body mechanics. How sleeve cuffs affect body mechanics. Shoot, man. There's so many videos. Shoulders naturally sit behind the head. Okay? Your jaw will never work properly if your shoulders aren't in their only neutral location that they could ever have. Okay? Yeah. Shoulders follow shoulder seams. In the Image Clothing Company's official shoelace technique video. Okay. I mean, we could get into so much. As far as I could get into referencing pretty much any video, because the jaw has the role of being in the center. And something like that, it's like our spine. It has the role of being in the center. And we know, if you know, so many people do, how big the spine becomes. People are getting fusion surgery where they fuse parts of their spine together. People are having so many pinched nerves in their back and things they call scoliosis, which again, I mean, if you're just not allowing your body to stay centered, it won't be centered, and then the thing in the spine will just twist to try to keep it vertical. When I said the thing in the spine, I meant the thing in the center, which is the spine, okay? So, the reason I talk about the spine right now is because it has the role of stabilizing the body from the center, but so does the jaw. The jaw has such a huge role, and we don't know if we don't know, and then we'll be trying to quote unquote train parts of our body that are nowhere near our jaw, which are damaged because of our jaw's imbalanced position, okay? How clothing affects the ears is a video under the main side of the Image Clothing Company here. Yeah. Yeah, because the ears are just the hole, it's literally a hole for sound waves to enter your eardrum between the rear of your lower jaw and then the base of the rear of your skull. There's a bone of the lower jaw here, and then the skull just comes up like this, okay? And there's just a hole between those two bones, okay? And so the cartilage in our ear can build up, and then our jaw won't sit centered, and then you'll be doing workouts like that. See what I mean? So, holy cow. Okay, well, this is a big thing. I actually made a video last fall under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. It was one of the early videos. And I titled it, How Earbuds Affect Body Mechanics. Those little things, right? It's like headphones, but they go in your ear canal. Anything you put into your ear canal, it's directly just altering your jaw. Because as I just said, that's the case. All the ear is a hole between the rear of the jaw and the base of the rear of the skull back here. That's it. So, right, again, if you're doing workouts with things shoved into the hole of your head, into your ear canals, you're just altering your only working position of your neutral jaw. Neutral, natural are synonyms within the human body. There's only one neutral in the body, and the body is just only ever going to work naturally, and right, naturally it would have to stay in its neutral to be centered on Earth's gravity. See what I mean? Things are just as simple as they are when we see them. I didn't see any of this stuff until I did, okay? If you don't, I'm not trying to talk down on people, but that's just why I speak as bold as I do, because work out all you want to try to get your body to work, and you just won't be able to if you know it's not centered. And for the sake of this video specific, if your jaw is imbalanced, okay? So there you go. I mean, there's a lot that we do here, by the way. We're not just a clothing company. We're not about fashion by any means. No. Yeah. So I think the big thing to say as kind of like a how-to then, right? Because, well, okay, if it's the jaw, and I get it now, you're saying, right? How do I get my jaw centered? Well, like I was saying, you eat with your left hand as well as your right. And within the video that I made on that, I said, as well as, meaning being able to do it as easily with the left as the right, but also as well as, meaning do it with the left in addition to the right. Because we should be able to do everything ideally, and like really, that's the case, as easily on both sides of our body, because there just has to be two sides, because there's what we're talking about, a center line. There just is. So that's how we do get our jaw to be centered, is pay attention to the cartilage in the ear, okay? Yeah, your right ear probably just has so much bigger of a gap between where I was saying the rear of the jaw and the rear of the base of the skull than your left side, unless your body's quite centered, okay? Mine did have a big large gap on the right side, just excess cartilage and imbalanced jaw, okay? Because even though your jaw's to the right, the position it then puts your whole body into, it makes a larger gap on the right side here. Okay? And there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Looking Left. And I talk about how in order to look left, we have to actually get our jaw to come to the right, okay? Contracting the right side of the body and turning left. So that's a huge thing with that dreaded collar seam. It just doesn't allow this to happen, because the dreaded collar seam's almost always on the left side of clothing. It just places the right side lower like this, and then you can't look left because you have to get here to look left. More internal on the right, and meaning close this gap of the ear on the right by getting this right jaw back, which is actually pushing the jaw left, okay? So, and I like to discuss things like that, even though that seems quite in-depth to some people that don't really even know what I'm talking about. I like to put stuff like that in certain videos where I do, because to show that I really know what I'm talking about. You don't have to care how smart I am, but I'm giving valid information, and I've said so often, that's why the videos are so long, because our videos are long, but it's because I discuss things so thorough that you can tell there's no claim, you just have to know. There you go, okay? That's why In the Image Clothing Company is so huge. Because it's truth, that's it. There's only one truth. It's God himself, the designer of the human being, okay? Jesus the Christ, and that's it. So, anyway, yeah, because people can't really turn right, and they can't look left. Because in order to turn right, you actually have to look left, because it's the same thing as contracting the muscles that allow you to turn your head left, to look that way, okay? Okay, so anyway, working out will never help you. That's crazy, and it's the truth. But also, workouts don't help the jaw, okay? Yeah. Yeah, okay. There you go. It's as I say the phrase, it's as real as it gets. It's as obvious as it is once you see it, right? I mean, it really is just this real. Okay? So there you go. Yeah, there you go. There's so much I could reference. I'm thinking about, like, man, should I say this and this and this? Podcast episodes, videos on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, stuff that talks about things throughout the whole body that go directly to the jaw staying centered, but that's what I'll say. the whole thing about the human body's only normal, right? That video I referenced under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. The body's always going to come back to its only normal. You can work out all you want, but once you stop working out, about 2 weeks later, half of your muscle that you gained is gone. Because there really is only one normal to the human being. There's only one center line, there's only one temperature the body stays at. There's only one resting heart rate. And people try to work out and train their heart rate to work so fast until they stop working out. It goes back to their only normal, okay? I said all this in that video, plus a lot more. But we just discussed truth. There's only one way the human body could ever work. And I've said before, I don't care. I'm almost glad if I sound like I'm just pouting sometimes. Like, listen to it, right? Because there's only one truth. And there's no opinion, but you just have to see it. Yeah. So, there you go, okay? I talk about, like on recent episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, I've mentioned it. I've been walking 40 to 60 miles each day for a lot of these days recently. No warming up beforehand, no stretching afterward. I don't have to eat any certain amount of food to like excessively fuel my being before I go. There's just only one way the human body could ever work for every human being to ever live. Welcome to In The Image Clothing Company, right? If this is your first time, like, this is what we do. And yeah, it's so crazy, so humbling, but it's the truth. It's it. I mean, okay? You'll see it. You'll see it when people smile like this, because their jaw's to the right. Yeah. Just everything we talk about with the jaw and it being imbalanced, you can see these things. I'm not making anything about some claim or trying to bring something up, trying to make something be anything that it isn't, as I say. You see all this stuff that I talk about in your daily life with the people around you, when you look at yourself or just see or feel how your own body operates. It's just what it is. And that's what's so cool about it, is that's why I say, like, you don't ever have to, and I'm gonna say it like this, very clear, don't believe us, right? Because I always talk about, quite often I have up until today's date, please don't believe in the Image Clothing Company's information, because you can believe anything, okay? Believe it or not, don't, is an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, but there is only one truth. It's God, and we just discuss it here, truly, actually, really, undisputedly. You couldn't dispute it if you actually see what we do, okay? So, yeah, I mean, there's no muscle that you're really training in the body if you're ever doing any kind of workout that's above the base of your skull, and your lower jaw is, in a sense. I mean, the musculature of the jaw goes all the way up into the head here. Yeah. So there you go, dude. All right. Gosh. It just hits me so hard because we're not just doing something here that's like something to choose from or something that's only valid for a certain time period or a certain type of people or only if you're into it. We just discuss eternal things, meaning stuff that will never change. It just couldn't. The human being's been the same since the first one, Adam, and it will be the same till the last one, right? We breathe, and our jaw's involved. We eat, as I said, our jaw's involved. When we drink, our jaw's involved. When we speak, our jaw is involved. Okay? But you're working out, opposing your jaw's only workings if you're not keeping your body centered. And you just don't know what you don't know, so you can't be held accountable for what you don't know, but yeah, it's the little things, man. Something like that dreaded collar seam. You'll never have a centered body if you have a seam imbalanced on the collar of anything you place around the circumference of your neck. You just never could, okay? So, as real as it gets. dude. It's like I want to just sit here and like kind of sit in it, you know? I mean, so dental work, right? Look out for it. I mean, how dental work affects body mechanics is one of the first videos I ever made under what I was doing when, you know, it then turned into In the Image Clothing Company. It was just me, Evan Strong, making videos at that point. And there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Root Canal Story. I went over that in my own personal experience, but yeah, okay. The teeth have to be able to mesh for the sake of the jaw being centered. It's not about having like a perfectly looking teeth bite, but it's because of the things that I've said within this video and just the role that the jaw plays, okay? Gosh, it's so crazy. Yeah. Because look at my shoulders, watch my jaw. I mean, if one of your shoulders drops, your jaw is just going to go to that side. So it's the right side, and almost every human on the earth that's lower, and they should ideally just be exactly even, because they would have to be to just work the only way the human body ever could. Okay, so In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we have poodle parade events that we will be attending as people who have purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size. The only dog breeds allowed, but we'll get together, go on walks, hikes, hang out at parks, whatever it comes to being in the individual event. Look on InTheImageClothingCompany.com for scheduling of everything like that, event-wise. In the Image Clothing Company's main side, where I get together and actually do this, right? Talk to people in person about how the body works, the only way it ever could, clothing, modifications to do within clothing you already have, where I discuss our clothing as a company and you know, just talk about us. Yeah, okay. A lot of what we do on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is advocacy for proper breeding, proper ownership of dogs, taking accountability as owners of dogs, debunking myths of why dogs don't listen. So even if you're not somebody who has a poodle, but you have a dog, we give a lot of information that applies to all dogs across the earth. But okay, there you go. Yeah, and that's a big thing with dogs. You know, I talk about keeping dog collars balanced. If your dog's eating and it's got imbalanced weight on its collar, its jaw is going to be imbalanced as well as human beings, okay? It's as real as it gets. So today is the 19th of May, 2025. Humbled, holy cow. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And pay attention to your jaw. Keep it centered. Otherwise, all the chiropractic visits in the world, or the physical therapy visits, or the workouts, the training exercises, the massages, the stretching routines, the yoga, anything ever to the rest of your body will never help you, because having your jaw just meshing at the teeth in an imbalance, no matter what you do to the rest of your body to try to get it centered, it will go exactly back to where your jaw is stabilizing it into, okay? So, dude, yeah, every human to ever live. How blowing the nose affects body mechanics. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here, because even just breathing patterns that are altered will go to your jaw, because if you're breathing and your lungs are expanding differently, your jaw will just stabilize your body in the imbalanced breathing patterning, okay? How clothing affects the trachea, a video I made under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? Mind the gap is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast where I went over the gap between our clothing and our own rib cage, meaning, oh my gosh, this video is unreal. This one here. But yeah, what I'm saying is the arm and the rib cage, they have to be able to just be even, right? We can't have a gap on one side and not the other, because our jaw will just follow for the sake of referencing it, you know, relating it to this video and the jaw. Yeah. Okay. So you do anything you consider a workout, even if it's running, even if it's hiking, even if it's jump roping, even if it's swimming and you're not even on solid ground, your jaw is still stabilizing your whole being through every breath, you know, like you're panting like that and you're tensing up your jaw, imbalanced if it is, and your whole body is just ingrained into patterning. Okay? So, holy cow. Chewing gum. I mean, I'm just going to talk about whatever I talk about from this point on in this video. Even if it's not like a workout. We're just going to stick around the jaw because it's huge. It's crazy. It determines everything. I mean, when we do that many functions with our jaw, and when it's stabilizing the thing that's on the top of our body, there's nothing above the jaw besides this ball that has to be stabilized, which is our human head. There's a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company titled The Human Head. I talked about the eyes, the nose, the mouth opening, keeping these things centered and able to work in all directions. Okay, I talked about the ears and the gap, like I talked about in here, and all the musculature that's between our scalp and our actual skull. Okay, it allows us to move our eyebrows and raise them, move our head, as you can see me doing here, and our ears. Okay, I know what I'm talking about, and you don't have to care about my knowledge because I'm smart or something, but we just speak truth under In the Image Clothing Company. So, dude, holy cow, right? I mean, it's as real as it gets, okay? And it's clothing. That's how I can say clothing is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. Because you have just an imbalanced shirt. One thing alone, the edges of your top here are not sitting evenly from the center line out on both sides to the shoulders, let's say, okay? Just that alone, now your jaw is imbalanced from one item of clothing not staying centered, okay? We have shirts, tops of any kind, okay? Pants, undergarments of any kind, socks, shoes, anything that clothes the human being, glasses, okay, going directly on the top of your jaw here because they sit on the ears, and I said earlier, it's just the case, the top of the ears is the top of the lower jaw, okay, so, holy cow, right? Yeah, it's huge. It's just huge. Just like flip a table. That's what I felt like I was doing. It's huge, okay? So, there you go, dude. There you go. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna wrap it up like that, okay? So, I already outroed it like a few minutes ago. Yeah. In the Image Clothing Company. Check us out.